In moments of difficulty, when challenges seem to pile up, it is common to feel an immense weight on our shoulders. Life, with its twists and turns, can leave us feeling insecure, and it is easy to be consumed by fear and doubt. However, when we look to this divine promise, we are reminded that we are not alone. There is a strength that accompanies us with every step we take, and this strength is powerful enough to transform our fears into courage. How many times have you felt paralyzed in the face of a situation that seemed impossible to confront? It is normal, but we need to remember that even when everything seems to be falling apart, there is a greater power that strengthens us. God's presence in our lives is not just a concept. It is a tangible reality, an anchor in the storms we face. When we trust in this power, we find the courage we need to move forward and overcome the obstacles that stand before us. Now, I invite you to reflect. To what extent have you allowed fear to dictate your actions? Are you ready to let the divine strength transform your insecurity into confidence? By opening your heart to this possibility, you may realize that with His help, let us together seek this strength and courage that are offered to us, allowing the light of this presence to guide us on paths of victory. In our journey, it is natural to encounter challenges that seem like insurmountable mountains. Often the weight of insecurity and fear may try to paralyze us, making us feel small in the face of difficulties. However, when we reflect on the promise that we are not alone, we find a firm foundation to face these situations. The Bible reminds us in moments of anguish that God is our refuge and strength. In Psalms it is written, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Psalms 46:1. This passage teaches us that even in the darkest hours, there is a presence that supports and sustains us. The verse invites us to seek shelter in this unfailing strength, showing that when we turn to Him, we find the courage necessary to face what lies ahead. In today's world, when challenges seem to multiply, whether at work, in personal relationships, or in spiritual life, it is easy to feel overwhelmed and incapable. However, if we look to this truth, we can realize that we do not have to carry the weight of our fears alone. When we acknowledge that God is our help in times of need, we begin to experience a relief that cannot be described. Trusting in Him allows us to look at our challenges in a new way. Instead of focusing on difficulties, we can remember that victory is already guaranteed because we have His strength operating within us. This strength is not just a theory or concept. It manifests in actions, in courage, and in faith that propel us forward. It is important that amidst struggles, we seek this connection, allowing this strength to transform our fear into courage. Remember that when insecurity knocks at your door, you have the option to open your heart to God's presence. He not only supports us, but also empowers us to overcome everything that troubles us. When we look at challenges as opportunities to experience this strength, we begin to change our perspective and move toward victory. Therefore, do not hesitate to call for that help. When you feel that you can no longer go on, remember that there is always help at hand. Fear may try to take over us, but the certainty that God is with us can dispel any shadow of insecurity. He is the strength that sustains us, and when we turn to Him, difficulties become mere steps for growth and overcoming. In every situation that seems insurmountable, allow God's presence to transform the way you face your fears. Remember that with Him by your side, there are no barriers that cannot be broken. Just as an athlete prepares for a competition, we too need to prepare, envisioning the victory that has already been promised to us. By doing this, we become stronger, braver, and more capable of facing everything life presents to us. As we remember that God is our refuge and strength, we find courage to face the challenges that arise. His presence assures us that even in the most difficult circumstances, we can rise up and continue with faith, knowing that He is by our side, ready to support and guide us. Therefore, trust, for victory is certain when we are with Him. Lord, at this moment, I come before You with an open heart, recognizing that many times I let fear paralyze me. I confess that in moments of uncertainty, I am overwhelmed by anxiety and doubt. It is so easy to get lost in difficulties and forget that Your presence is a fortress, a safe haven. Help me remember that, as it is written in Isaiah, You are always with me, strengthening and supporting me. May I, starting today, let go of this weight I carry and surrender to You, trusting that Your strength is greater than any obstacle I face. I thank You, O God, for granting me the courage I cannot find within myself. Thank you for each day that you awaken me and give me the opportunity to start anew. In the midst of struggles, I am grateful to know that I am not alone. Every time fear tries to paralyze me, may I remember your promise that your right hand sustains me. That in every step, even when everything seems difficult, I may thank you for your love that never fails and for your constant presence in my life. Help me see that even in the little things of everyday life, be it at work, in personal relationships, or in internal battles, your strength is with me, allowing me to face everything with a grateful heart. However, Lord, I cry out to you in supplication. Life can be challenging, and there are moments when I feel lost, unsure of which way to go. There are situations that seem unsolvable, problems that surround me and make me doubt my ability to overcome. Therefore, I ask you to grant me discernment in the decisions I need to make. May I feel your guidance in every step, especially when uncertainty knocks at my door. I remember the story of David who, when facing Goliath, did not rely on his abilities, but on the certainty that you were by his side. May I have that same confidence, knowing that with your help, there is no giant I cannot bring down. In every challenge that presents itself, I want to offer you my fears and insecurities. May I, by presenting these concerns to you, understand that I do not need to carry them alone. Help me to lay these burdens in your hands, allowing your peace, which surpasses all understanding, to guard my heart and mind. May I realize that by offering you my problems, I am placing myself in your hands, where everything is transformed and renewed. And finally, Lord, I make a petition. May my faith be true and unwavering, even when the storms of life approach. May I look at challenges and instead of fearing, trust that you are by my side. Help me to remember that, as it is written in Psalms, you are my refuge and strength. May I feel that protection in moments of distress, and that every day I remember that if you are with me, I am capable of facing any situation. May I awaken each morning with the certainty that victory is already mine, because you are my strength. With a grateful heart full of hope, I surrender all these things to you. May my life reflect the trust I have in your word, and may I experience your transforming strength each day. Amen. The story of Gideon is a powerful example of how divine strength can turn weakness into victory, even in the face of challenging circumstances. Gideon, one of the judges of Israel, was called by God at a time when the people of Israel were oppressed by the Midianites. He found himself hiding, threshing wheat in a winepress, a clear sign of his fear and insecurity. The Bible tells us in Judges 6 that Gideon felt insignificant, as if he had no value to carry out the task assigned to him. In his words, he says, "Ah, my Lord, how can I save Israel? My family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house." Judges 6:15. This feeling of helplessness is something many of us face in various situations in life. How many times have we felt small in the face of challenges that seem insurmountable? Gideon, just like us, was trapped in his fear, believing he was incapable of fulfilling the mission given to him. However, God did not let Gideon's insecurities sway him. Instead, he encouraged him, saying, "I will be with you, and you shall strike the Midianites as one man." Judges 6:16. This divine promise reminds us that even in the face of difficulties, God's presence empowers us to accomplish what seems impossible. What is surprising in this story is that God did not choose Gideon because of his strength or abilities. On the contrary, he chose a man who felt weak and despised to show that his power is made perfect in weakness. This is an essential lesson for us. Often the challenges we face are not an indication of our inability, but an opportunity to experience strength that comes from a greater power. Gideon received a series of signs from God to strengthen his faith. He asked for confirmation of the Lord's presence through a fleece miracle, and God, with patience and love, responded to his doubts. This teaches us that it is perfectly human to seek confirmation in times of uncertainty. God's presence in our lives is not a distant concept. It is an intimate and personal relationship where we can open up and express our insecurities. Just like Gideon, we can ask God to show us the way, and He, in His infinite goodness, will guide us. When Gideon finally stood up to face the Midianite army, he was still surrounded by uncertainty. However, God instructed him to reduce the number of soldiers, ensuring that the victory would not be attributed to human strength, but to God's power. Gideon started with 32,000 men, and after God's instructions, he was left with only 300. This drastic reduction was a test of faith for Gideon and his men, showing that true strength does not come from quantity, but from the quality of faith we have in the Lord's presence. God wanted Gideon and his people to know that it was he who fought their battles for them. This aspect of Gideon's story speaks volumes about the modern challenges we face. In a world that often values strength, power, and self-sufficiency, we are frequently led to believe that we need to be in control at all times. However, the story teaches us that it is in surrender and trust in God that we find true freedom and courage. When we know He is with us, we can move forward, even when circumstances seem unfavorable. In the end, Gideon and his 300 men faced the Midianites, and through a divine strategy, they were able to defeat them, proving that nothing is impossible for God. This victory was not just over an army, but over the fear and insecurity that often paralyze us. Thus, as we look at Gideon's story, we are encouraged to leave our fears and insecurities in God's hands. He calls us to action, even when we feel small or incapable. May we remember that just like Gideon, we have a God who strengthens us and empowers us to do great things, even amidst difficulties. And when doubt arises, may we have the courage to cry out for His help, always remembering that with Him by our side, there are no barriers we cannot overcome. As we reflect on everything that has been shared, it is essential to internalize the message that we are not alone in the face of life's challenges. The presence of a greater force accompanies us, empowering us to face every obstacle that arises in our path. Just like David and Gideon, we are reminded that, regardless of the size of our fears, the courage and strength we need are available to us when we trust and seek that help. It is normal to feel insecure in times of adversity, but remember, true victory comes from knowing we have constant support. When we turn to this strength, we realize that what seems impossible can become an opportunity for growth and overcoming. Do not allow fear to dictate your actions. Face challenges as steps to be taken, not as insurmountable barriers. Therefore, carry with you the certainty that, if this strength is by your side, you can face any situation with courage. Always remember what is written. God is our refuge and strength. Psalms 46:1. May the strength and courage of the Lord be with you every day, guiding your steps and strengthening your heart. As we conclude, I invite you to reflect on how divine presence has acted in your life. Have you ever had an experience where you realized you were not alone in a difficult moment? Share your story in the comments and inspire others to trust in this sustaining strength. If this message touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more content that promotes hope and faith in our daily lives. May peace and courage be with you always.